Hello, everyone, and welcome to your live experience call for Duality. This is call number 2, Healing and Seniority. We've got a great call planned today with your author, Jeffrey Allen. We're going to be doing a little bit of sharing. He's going to guide us into meditation, and we're also going to have a live Q&A session at the end of the call. Welcome, everyone from all over the world. Thanks for taking this time to tune in, connect with each other, and also your author. And I'd love to introduce Jeffrey Allen coming in live from Japan right now as well. Welcome to the call, Jeffrey.
Hey, thanks, Ezra. It's so great to be here, and so great to see all of your faces. Everybody looks nice and bright and shiny, and I see a couple questions floating around in some of your head and your aura there. It looks pretty good. A little bit of there's excitement about what's happening in the program and the things that you're learning. I can see some confidence, that, oh, wow, something worked, this grounding worked for me, or this permission rose, there's this enthusiasm in your energy about this confidence and using the tools. And then right beside it, I see that uncertainty too, the times where you're like, well, this time I tried grounding and it didn't seem to work. Or what is that permission rose? How does it work again? And this is a good theme for this call because it's normal to have both of these experiences at the same time, to be really excited and enthusiastic about the things you're learning and when they're working well for you. And then to also feel a little bit confused or uncertain about the things that you haven't learned yet, or when they don't work. So it's kind of fun. When you can hold those both together, that's when you know that you're right in the center of your learning. Some part of you is taking some advanced steps, some part of you is taking beginner steps, and that's perfect. You want to just be right in the middle and love all of it. So before we go into the meditation, why don't we open up the mic for about 30 seconds so I can hear everybody and we can all say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Jeffrey!
Jeffrey!
Hi, everybody.
Muy bien.
Welcome, everyone.
That's great.
Love to you all.
Yeah, it's funny. Even though I'm talking to many people all the time, sometimes it feels like I'm in a quiet room just talking to myself because you're all muted. But energetically, you're definitely not quiet. Energetically, everybody's here. Everybody's saying hello. And I have to say, this round through Duality, I'm pretty impressed. Everybody is fairly conscious of their energy. Even people that are struggling at times are very polite in the way that you're reaching out and that you're asking for help from each other and from me. And I really appreciate that. That's wonderful. Because, it's easy sometimes when we get overwhelmed to feel like, more of the panic side, like, help me, right? Reaching for people. But when we do that, we actually kind of close ourselves down to receiving, right? So when we go into that space of feeling kind of desperate, our energy tends to narrow. And then there's less, it's like we're trying to draw attention or help from one particular place. And then we're not as open for it to come from sort of the unknown and from places that we don't expect. And so I'm really appreciating this time seeing all of you being more open to just like, oh, there's a little struggle, but it's fine. No, we'll get through it. Something will come. Maybe it's just because we've been in, this sort of a traumatic pandemic that's been going through for so long now that we're all sort of a little bit more mellow. Maybe that's the silver lining, I guess. So let's get started with a little meditation. We've been working on these last 2 chapters on running energy and also on the aura and the permission rose. So having your space and having your seniority. And we'll look at those a little bit in the meditation. And then we'll, of course, move into some sharing and some questions like Ezra mentioned. So go ahead and find your space. And I want to start with just that very quick sort of simple mode that we do at the beginning of each day where you just remember your grounding and you remember the center of your head and just remember that peaceful place of the higher mind. And then just remember the earth energy and the cosmic energy flowing through you. They're always there, even if you're not focusing on it consciously. And then remember that permission rose out in front of you, reminding you that you have your space, you have your seniority. Very good. And then just remember all the support you have. And say hello to this group on the call. Everybody live here with you. And send a big hello and a smile out to everyone else in the Duality program. And just notice all those enthusiastic, amazing people just like you, sending hellos back to you. Yeah, very good. And then reach out to all past students, all future students, all energy workers everywhere. And just notice that larger community that you are part of as well. Very good. Okay, and then I want to slow down and kind of look through the tools one by one. So I'd like to go through in this fast mode, like we just did, where we just remember, because in daily life, that's the speed we usually take. We just have a few moments, we remember our space, and then we move forward. But on this call, we can go the other way too. We can slow down and notice your root chakra where your grounding is connected. And notice any tightness or any tension or hesitation or even fear that's in that root chakra. Now, I know we haven't got into the chakras yet, or a few of you are just moving into that chapter, but even if you're not, just notice that space at the base of the spine. Any tension or fear, anxiety about what's coming in this next year. Very good. And as you feel that earth energy running up through the feet and through the legs and back down the grounding cord, just notice it automatically beginning to release whatever you found in the root chakra, whatever the fear, anxiety was, any hesitation. Just notice that just putting your awareness there and noticing it is enough for it to light up and enough for it to release and begin healing and moving out of your space. Very good. And then for this call, I'd like you to open that root chakra up so it's at full capacity. And what I mean by that is just you're fully present in your highest capability. You don't even have to know how to do that. Just decide that you're going to be available. Wow, very good. Now really open the energy up there. Okay, and then notice that cosmic energy that's flowing in already from above, going all the way down the back of the body. And notice it filling up that root chakra area, picking up a little bit of earth energy as it continues back up the front of the body. And just feel that cosmic energy showering out the top of your head and down the aura in all directions. And notice how much is happening in your energy automatically. You don't have to be consciously moving your energy. It's always in motion, and you're just adding little adjustments, little hints, little intentions. But it's always running, whether you're doing that or not. Very good. And as you feel the aura around you, notice that sense of peace and confidence radiating from your space, radiating from your aura. And let that sense flow out into your future and into this year. And if you like, you can tie that into the cosmic energy. So as the cosmic energy is filling you up, you're feeling 100% full of energy. The overflow is that certainty, confidence, healing energy that's flowing out into the rest of the world. There you go. Sometimes you can feel that flowing out in a spatial way around you, the people around you. Sometimes it's in a temporal way, flowing out into the future or even the past. Okay, very nice. Okay, and take a look at the permission rose out in front of you. And just notice for yourself right now, how does your rose look? Or if you're not a visual person, how does it feel? Or how does it smell? It doesn't matter how you sense it. Anyway, is just fine. And then ask yourself, does this rose feel like it's ready for right now? Or do I want to create a new one in its place? And if you want a new one, just kind of pop the old one, let it go, just let it dissolve, just create a new one in its place. There you go, very good. Everybody's moving really fast on this call. Energy looks so good. All right. So give yourself a deep breath. Then once again, send a little hello to everyone on the call. From this peaceful space of having your space and knowing that your energy is running and healing you. All right, very good. All right, so one more deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Very good. All right, so we can go into some sharing. Everybody looks so bright. Everybody's really peaceful now. Probably don't have anything to say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for that, starting the call off. Great way to start it off. All right, right now we'd love to bring a few of you on to share your experience of duality over the last few weeks since you started, or if you're an older student. So you can use a little, at the bottom of your screen under reactions, there's a little virtual hand. You can raise that. Make sure that you have your camera turned on, and we will bring a few of you on. Great. Call on Maria first. Maria, welcome to the call. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Maria.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Jeffrey. I started doing the old duality in 2020 during the pandemic, and it was really a great thing to do in a world that was in chaos. It's a different thing with the new one. It's really interesting, and it's really lovely with the live calls to have that experience as well. And there was just a little thing I want to share from the old duality, is that at one point, Jeffrey, you were reading out the questions, and somebody said, how can you give me a little trick to sleep better? And you said, well, actually, I just opened my chakras, and I just open up every night. And you just showed it, and it was really brilliant, and I've been using it ever since. So I use a lot of all the tools you're giving us, so I think it's really brilliant. And thank you very much for this.
Oh, you're welcome. That's great. Yeah, glad to hear it. Sometimes just one little tool like that will really, really work for us. It's like, I can use that one every day.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
All right, Zelia, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Zelia.
You're still
on mute.
There you go.
No, it's okay. Hi, I'm from Portugal. I'm very glad to be here. I began this course 3 years ago, and I didn't finish. So this year I will do it all along. It's not exactly a question. It's like what I want to say is that I feel some difficulty in go with the flow. I think I try. Sometimes you say you're going to feel this or you're going to feel that, and I don't feel most of the time. I imagine that I'm feeling, but maybe, I don't know, if with practice it will become better, it will become easier. Sometimes I imagine like I'm like, I think as I have a shield, like a skin that is like a turtle, you see, that it's not easy to go inside the shell. And I don't know exactly what I can do to make this. I like very much spiritual stuff, everything I believe, and all of that. But then I just have difficulty in feeling.
Mhm.
I think I rationalize it too much.
Well, it's fun because what you said was that you just kind of imagine that you're feeling, and it's funny because with energy work, it's very subtle. So at first, it's hard to tell the difference between, am I feeling this? Am I imagining that I'm feeling this? Is there a difference, or is it the same thing? And I would say that the difference basically is your confidence. So the more that you practice, and the more that you start to notice, oh, when I'm working on my energy, or I'm setting an intention, that I'm getting results in my life. The more confidence that you get from your experience, the more real that it feels. But it may not actually change the way that it feels. It may still feel like you're imagining that you're feeling things. You just start realizing, oh, that imagining that I'm feeling things is me feeling things. That's how I perceive energy, is this way. So it's really fun that you said it that way. And both will happen. One, your confidence will go up, and you'll feel better about the way you're feeling now. But also, it does tend to change how you're feeling over time too. That's kind of a longer process. But I've noticed over the years that when I first started seeing things visually, was very hard for me. Now it's very easy, just because I practiced a lot. Hearing things, like there was a time when I just really hoped I could hear my guides. And now I just say hello and they're there all the time. And it's like anything. The more you practice, the easier and easier it gets. So that'll definitely open up for you.
I don't hear them, and I would like to hear.
Yeah, well, you can start by just imagining you're hearing them.
Okay.
and then because the imagination sort of is a way to get through our analyzer. It's a way to get into that space where I don't need to understand or really know what I'm doing to be able to do it. And that's the easiest way to access your energy work. Yeah, okay. Great question. Great sharing.
Thank you.
Did we lose Ezra? Are you there? Let's see. I don't see him on here. Oh, he's there.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks. I got a thunderstorm here, so I'm trying to mute myself between sessions. Thank you so much, Zelia. And up next is Andrew. Welcome.
Hi, Andrew.
Share your experience of duality.
Hi everyone. I'm calling in from Kuala Lumpur. So what I wanted to share, what Veronica, was it her name, that she just shared, that happened to me last year when I first attempted duality, where not even halfway through I actually dropped out because I got frustrated. I couldn't actually see anything that Jeffrey was saying, that you should be seeing this, visualize this. But this time I'm having a lot more fun, and what I want to share is, as Jeffrey said, just have fun, don't take it too seriously. I think that's been working for me. On the New Year's Eve, I was out with my family and my nephew. It was raining, and my nephew and my sister slipped and fell, and he had his right hand started bruising. And I remember what Jeffrey did for his daughter. So I've imagined my cosmic energy running, and I've just put my hand over his. About an hour later, after the dinner, his right hand, which was started to bruise earlier, the bruise almost gone, just left a little bit of redishness. So I told my friend and my sister, everyone was really excited. I said, wow, okay. Yeah, so just have fun with it, and yeah, it works for me. I'm sure it will work for you too. Just have fun. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Really, really good story, and for trusting yourself and going for it, even after you'd decided you couldn't do it and then came back for another round. That's great.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And up next to share is Owen. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, hi Jeffrey.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so happy, excited to talk to you. So I just want to share my experience really. So I've started duality training last year. I've finished a course and it has made a lot of changes in my life because I work as a nurse in the mental health system, and a lot of time I get a lot of weird energy that a lot of time I feel really unhappy, and I don't know what's going on in my life. And then having the tools, I start to kind of, be more boundary, put on my permission role. And since I've done duality, I'm become very sensitive to a lot of more energy. So since I'm doing the aura and the boundaries, I feel much more calmer within myself. And when I talk to the client or the patient service users, I feel more, I don't know, it's much more lighter, and a lot of answers come through to me without thinking much. But it seemed to be in a flow a lot. So yeah, just want to share that. Really happy.
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's wonderful. I like the way you described it, that you're not thinking too hard and that somehow you're both more sensitive and you're not taking as much in. So that's a perfect. Great use of your boundaries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Joanne. All right, now I would love to open it up to a Q&A session with Jeffrey. Let me just reset everybody's hands. If you'd like to ask a question, we just ask that you ask one question to Jeffrey so that we can get to as many of you on the call. We do have a lot of questions. But if you'd like to ask a question, you can go ahead and raise your hand and we can start on that now. Let's see. Dow, you have a question?
Hi, Dow.
Yes, I have a question. Oh my God, thank you so much. I've wanted to thank you since I started this quest at the end of November 2020. And I said, I need to thank Jeffrey Allen. So I got an opportunity today. So thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Ezra. And I have this one question. I think regarding permission roles. I feel very connected with you because you are an engineer. I'm also an engineer. You're a psychic. I'm also kind of psychic, but not at your level yet. Whenever I'm in a group meditation and I connect with everyone, I feel everyone's energy. And what happened is if someone is sad or is sick, I would feel them in my body. And recently I had an event when in a meditation circle, and I did not know that this one person just had a very big accident. He had his pelvis broken, his spine broken, and his neck broken. So during that call, I felt all of his pain within my body, and it stayed there for about 6 hours, and I did not know why. So after the call, I could not sleep. It was very painful for me for about 3 days. And finally, I decided to have this meditation that you taught, the one where with crowding and get the light in. Mm-hmm. And that was how it got released. And my question to you is, because I feel everything when I connect to a group, so how can I lessen the experience? If I don't think that I can avoid it, but if I can lessen the experience, that would be better, I guess. Mm-hmm. I hope.
Yeah, sure, you bet. So yeah, great question, because that deals with right here in chapter 4, when we're talking about boundaries. And just looking at your energy now and also hearing your story, it's really clear you're an empathic healer. So things are naturally coming through you, and so that's the path you've chosen in this life, is to be sensitive like that and be able to feel people. And it's really a gift, even though it feels, it can feel like a curse at times.
Yeah, it can feel painful sometimes.
Yeah, it can feel painful. It really is a gift, but the trick is to make sure that you maintain your space too. So just like when you said you can feel other people's pain and other people's energy circulating through your body, ideally, you want to also, it's a little hard to describe. You want to have a dual awareness. So you want to have your space where you're 100% full of energy. And that's why before any call you're going on or any group thing you're doing, and this is for anybody on the call who's sensitive here, I'd recommend really running your energy just for 3 or 4 minutes and making sure that you're 100% full. If you've done the whole program, we have a tool called the gold sun at the end where you can kind of fill up a gold sun and bring it in and fill yourself up that way too. So you want to just make sure that you're full of energy and then that you're overflowing as well, right? So you kind of just leave the tap on so the energy is still flowing through you. And if you're 100% full, even when you feel other people's pain or energy kind of flowing through you, it'll continue on its way. If stuff is getting stuck in your body, that means that there was a little room in there for something to get in. And so it's just a matter of filling yourself up. Either, you can do it after the fact, just meditation and energy work to help fill yourself up again. But it's nicer if you do it ahead of time and then, just let it flow through. You might also get, kind of just get used to in the moment when you get some pain of just asking yourself, is this my pain or somebody else's pain? And then right away, that question will give you a clue on what to do with it. So say, if it's my pain, I might want to do some healing on it or work on it or, learn something here. But if it's somebody else's pain, all I want to do is just kind of say hello to it and let it go.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Because that makes sense.
There's when we're strong energetically or when we're centered energetically, we tend to take on things from other people. Because it's natural for if somebody's feeling stressed to try to look for somebody strong to hand that burden off to, right? But you can't really help people with their problems in that way, right? People, if you could take somebody's disease and heal it and process it in your own body, they would probably recreate it in some way anyway, because the experience they wanted was to learn from it, right? And so it doesn't actually help that much to do this style of healing for each other. So when you notice it's not yours, you just want to say hello to it, send some love to that person, give them permission to have their space to release it, to heal, and send your best intentions, little energy flow out of you, that overflow rather, flow to them. But then just remember, it's not mine. And usually that's enough. Just that question, is it mine or is it not mine? To bring you back to the moment and to let it release and flow out of you. Yeah, it's easy to describe that way, but it's not so easy to do. When we're feeling energy from other people, it still feels like our energy. So you just have to remember to ask yourself, you have to check, mine or not mine? Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah, good question.
Wow, thank you so much, Jeffrey, and happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tao. All right, next up, John. You can unmute yourself. Welcome.
Hi, John.
Hi, guys. Thanks for choosing me. I appreciate it. So, Jeffrey, I was listening. This is my second time through it, and it's there's so much, and you say for every 1 point that there's 10, and I'm always behind, but I try to get as much as I can and understand it. One of the things that I know that I need to work on is something similar to you. Is like I'm very analytical. I'm an accountant by nature, so that's part of my job. But there could be some times when I don't need to do that for relationships. So any advice you can give on that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. And konnichiwa.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, konnichiwa. I saw the little Japanese behind you there, little Japanese scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. So to say the sentence, say the question again right at the very end. So about relationships. It just slipped out of my mind there. Say it again.
Yeah. And sometimes being analytical is sometimes detrimental because, then you're pointing things out that may necessarily don't have to. And so I'm looking to sometimes figure out a way to get out of my own way.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So a couple of things there. So first thing I would say is that, it's okay to be analytical and to have, if that's how you came in with with a fast mind or analytical, no problem. The trick, especially in relationships, whether it's personal or work relationships, is a lot of that analytical part. The problem is when it comes out of our mouths, right? And when it starts going to other people. So it's okay for me to be thinking and analyzing and measuring and sort of doing some accounting of good and bad and right and wrong, and sort of observing the world in that way. But when it comes out my mouth to other people, it's very common that it's not interpreted or felt in the way that I intended it, right? Our thinking for people that are active thinkers, it's just kind of interesting. It's not necessarily judgmental, but it's very interesting to notice lots of details. But it isn't often taken that way. So what I would recommend is that when you're thinking stuff and it's feeling important to you, first reach out to people kind of on a telepathic level. So just say hello, and then have that conversation you want to have telepathically first. It can even be while you're sitting with the person in the same room. So you're having one conversation here with your mouth, then you're having another conversation up here where you might be saying like, oh, I'm noticing this detail about something and blah, 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 or are you feeling this? And so you might have, something happening up here energetically. And then the conversation down here is a lot more, kind of like 3D, if you will, sort of in this world. So that's what I would recommend. And as far as turning it down, the best way that I know to turn it down, other than the tools we've learned, like kind of working with the analyzer and turning it down, the best way is to actually be more and more present in the moment. So most of the analyzing is about trying to understand the future potentials and to sort of navigate about those in some optimal way, if there was one. Right? That's kind of what our mind is trying to do. It's trying to like get data and then plot a course. But when you're in the present moment and really in the body, much like athletes will say they're in the zone, or a musician will say they're in the flow, or in that moment, that part of your mind turns down. You realize, oh, I don't actually need that most of the time. So any exercises that help you feel present in the moment, whether it's music, meditation, exercise, anything that makes you feel really present in the body, that's a very easy way to turn the mind down.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll start doing that immediately. Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the question.
John. All right. I'll have to call on Veronica.
Hello.
Hi, Veronica.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, everybody. I have a question. This is the first time that I try this energy tool so far, and I was trying with this energy cord, but I was not able to feel it. However, I know that I have it. It's like, okay, I know that it's there, but I don't know exactly what is there. So then I try to kind of take it out. But at the same time, I was pulling it back because I have this struggle, this contradiction within me. Like I need to let it go, but at the same time, I don't want to let it go. So I don't know if you understand. It's like kind of like I'm shifting my energy all the time. Like yes, no, yes, no. Anyways, at the end, I decided to keep trying with these boundaries that I'm still learning on it. And my question is, maybe somebody else have experienced these contradictions, but when you have this contradiction, is it okay to keep trying to disconnect this energy cord until you succeed, or maybe I'm not yet ready for this seniority?
No, that's fine. Actually, what you described is fairly common. The reason why we have a cord is there's always some agreement on our side. So there's a reason why we've agreed to exchange energy in this way. It's not usually a conscious agreement, but it's an agreement, nonetheless. And so feeling that need to like, oh, I want to clear this cord and release it, and then using your energy to do that. And then if you notice, oh, it's back, maybe because, like you said, oh, I didn't really want to let it go, or I was afraid. That's great. So what we want to do is look at, oh, what are those pictures that are there? What are the feelings that are there? The energy that's there, depending which chapter you're in, right? What's the energy that's there that I'm wanting to hold on to this? And then you can just look at that a little deeper and kind of clear it, use a rose, let it go. And then you'll just notice kind of layer by layer, it gets easier and easier. And there's definitely been energy cords and relationships that I've been in where, that energy exchange between me and my friend continued for a long time, even after we, didn't live nearby or didn't see each other frequently. And just keep working at it. What I like to think of it as it's kind of a reminder, oh, I'm remembering this chord again, or this energy with exchange with this person, because there's something a little bit deeper that I can learn than last time I looked at it. Right. So I'll look at it again, feel it, and then pull it out again. So yeah, no problem. Sounds like what you're doing is just perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your question, Veronica. All right. Let's see. Jackie. Welcome to the call, Jackie. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, I had a feeling I was going to be next. Thank you so much. I've been wanting to ask this question. I have been in energy work for a long time. I basically work as a medium full time. But when I was about 7-8 years ago, I was new to this work and I was very naive, I should say. Energy work was like, something that I would just get happy, like, here's my energy, work on it. Like, but right now I'm like, if my guides would tell me, then I would go to you. So no, thank you. So that's how I am right now. But before, when I was, like I said, naive and I didn't know better, I had some people work on me. It was a friend actually did pranic healing. It had its good things and bad things. And although it put me in a better, path to mediumship and not in finance that I used to be, but it created a lot of chaos in my immediate time at that time. And then to fix that chaos, I went to someone else and he decided without my permission to dial down my clairvoyance, which I used to see this vivid, HD kind of visions every morning, like, my spirit guides. I could actually see my spirit guides before I even had the ability to hear them. And it kind of like died. He put his hand on my shoulder and pushed it down, and next thing I know, my clairvoyance is gone. And although they compensated, my guides or spirit compensated with my clairaudience, which they made me like have ear infections 4 months at a time on each ear, and I went basically deaf on each ear, and then my clairaudience kicked in like 100 times more. But I still wish to have my clairvoyance the way it was, the HD grayish kind of like holograms that I used to see. What should I do to get that back? Even though I have clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance more and more than I used to, but I still wish to have my clairvoyance back.
Sure. Yeah, I would say for you in this situation, what I would do is I would tune into that event where you feel like, oh, I didn't have a choice. And somebody, even if they were trying to help me, somebody made a choice about my space that I didn't feel I was in control of. So somebody, somebody made that change. So if you go back and work on that point in time and just look at where you were there and where you were giving up your seniority, and then look at, okay, so how do I bring that back? How would I take the energy and sort of maturity that I have now and help my past self at that time? So how do I go back and basically do a healing for myself in the past, and then maybe redirect that energy? You can even work with that healer telepathically and say, okay, instead of doing that, let's make a little change here, and just keep working with on that level. And what you'll find is, because your clairvoyance hasn't really gone anywhere. It's not.
I know it's not as good as it was.
Yeah, it's not like it's gone, but there's like a filter that's there, and that filters are always have to do with pictures, which is in that in the 6th chapter of Duality. So there's a filter there that's saying I can't access the way I used to, or something has changed. And looking at those pictures and moving those pictures is probably your best approach. Now, the other thing I would say is that you already mentioned it here in your question, is that the gift that it brought was some other things compensated and came up, right? And so you can like really enjoy those and say, okay, and I'd like for my, my vision to come back the way it was. And don't worry, it will, even if it hasn't yet. Things are moving in that direction. And I look at your spirit. You're not taking like 2 steps forward and 1 back, or I should say, you're not taking 1 step forward and 2 back. You may be going 2 forward and 1 back, 2 forward and 1 back, but in general, you're moving forward and growing. So yeah, it'll come back. Don't worry. But that's what I would do. I would go look at that past
It's funny you said that because a few years after, like about 2-3 years after, I called him and I confronted him. And I told him, you did this to me and I want it back. So, but intuitively, I kind of felt, he's a very old man. He's like 90 something right now. But intuitively, it came to me that the time that he passes is when I'm going to get it back. So I'm not sure if that was correct or not. But it was funny that you said that. I did go like actually over the phone, not personally, but I did confront him. Yes.
Yeah, well, I would do it just energetically, just work on energetic. You don't have to include the other person physically at all. And the other thing I would say is look for any place now where a present time you is judging past you, where you're saying, oh, what I've, because it's very exciting that, oh, I've learned and I'm growing, I have some new skills. But when we look back at our old self and say, oh, I was kind of naive and foolish and all that, it's like that part you want to let go of, right? So if you take that away, that'll help things come back too.
Okay.
So, yeah. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Jackie. All right. Next up, I'd love to invite Daniel onto the call. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Hello. Jeffrey, first of all, thank you so much. Duality definitely has changed my life. I'm just being here with the camera on is just like testify as to how much impact this has on me. So thanks so much. There are no words. My question is, how would you say, how would you recommend to me to anchor my seniority? Of course, using the tools and practicing, I guess, is like the best way. Is there anything else that you can suggest to me to anchor more my seniority aside of practicing it?
Sure. Yeah. So for you and everybody on the call can try this too. So definitely working with your tools more and developing more confidence with them is going to help with your certainty and your seniority too. But another thing you can try is to go into harmonic resonance with people that have the traits that you want. So what I mean by that is if you are hanging out with somebody, or even if you're watching a video of somebody that looks like they have the confidence that you're wanting to have, or the certainty that you want to have, just to let yourself say, okay, what would it feel like if I was vibrating at the same frequency as they are? So what would it feel like if my solar plexus, my 3rd chakra, was vibrating at the same vibration as their 3rd chakra? And just kind of try that out. It's a really direct and non-mental way to learn, is to match somebody's energy. It's actually it's what people that are very sensitive and empathic are doing all the time, to the level where it feels distracting. But you can do it consciously and use it as a learning tool too. So just kind of absorb the energy of other people. And then always remember to come back and say, okay, now I want to come back and be me, but maybe I'll add in a little bit of that feeling that I got, that confident feeling or certain feeling that I got when I tuned into that person's energy and matched it. Maybe I'll add that into my repertoire as well. So that's what I'd recommend. It's kind of a fun way to learn.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. I will do it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel. And next up is Eva. Welcome to the call, Eva.
Hi, Eva.
Hello. Thank you, Jeffrey, and everybody. And my question is about healing. Well, it seems to me that as all the time helping others may be a bit easier than helping myself. I have a specific problem about my liver, and I I need to do something about it. It can't be, anything can't be done medically, but I feel I can do it somehow myself. But so far I have cleaned it and I have tried to heal it, but I still feel that it's still existing.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is that why can't I do it for myself?
Yeah, definitely. And it's true what you said. It is a little bit easier at times to heal other people than it is to heal ourselves, just because we don't have the same judgments and filters and pictures about other people that we have about ourselves. So it's a little bit harder sometimes to get in and heal ourselves. But I would say that we actually have more capacity for healing ourselves than for others, right? Because you have full permission to make any changes in your space and in your body. It's yours. You get to do what you like with it. And so you want to remember that all that capability that you're expressing helping others is actually stronger for helping yourself, even if it doesn't feel as easy or as accessible. And I would say, when you were talking, I had this vision of you kind of imagining that you're working on yourself in two parts. So you can have the part of you that is a healer, right? If whatever your modality is, if you're like laying on hands, you can imagine you're doing that. And then imagine that there's another you that's there, right? That is the recipient. And so let yourself have both of those. And you might even move your awareness back and forth. So like, okay, now I'm tuned into the part of me that's receiving, and I'm feeling or seeing or hearing that energy and healing coming from that part of me that's doing the healing. So letting yourself kind of access both parts of you independently looks like it would work well for you. Yeah, so that's what I would try. And I'd also say, just keep going with it. So sometimes self-healing projects are long projects, but they're, that's okay. You just keep going and going, and it just gets better and better. It's kind of surprising when you get to the point where all of a sudden it's clear, and that's when everybody says, "Wow, it was a miracle! It changed overnight." And you're like, "Well, if you don't consider the 10 or 20 years I spent working on it, then it did seem to change overnight at the very end." But all of a sudden it'll shift like that, and it's really quite remarkable. So yeah, keep going.
Thank you. And one more question about the same issue, that I have started to feel pain now. So I guess it's a good thing that probably the pain is indicator that it's the energy is flowing and it's getting better. I hope, at least.
Yeah, usually. I mean, there's, sometimes pain is, you want to ask yourself, like, am I in a healing crisis or a disease crisis, right? So if you're feeling pain because you're in a disease crisis, then you want to get some help for that. You want to go to your doctor and get some help there. But if you're in pain because of a healing crisis, then that's just what you described. You say, "Oh, okay, I'm in a healing crisis. Things are moving out, and that's great. I'm glad that it's moving, even though it hurts." So always ask yourself that: am I in a healing crisis or a disease crisis?
Okay, thank you very much, Jeffrey.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Eva. And next up, I'd love to bring May on. You can unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi.
Thanks for the connection. I was always wondering how it would feel like to connect with you. So I have a question, pretty recent one, very impromptu. Firstly, I did the grounding work when I was on a plane, like yesterday. And I always didn't know how it feels like to be grounded. But so when there was a baby that started to cry, and I just like, okay, what should I do? I want to sleep. So I said, like, let me ground the baby. And within 3 seconds, she stopped crying, or she or he. And no more cries for the rest of the flight. And it was like a 14-hour flight. So it was like, this is the first time I feel that, okay, I'm an engineer, like I'm a computer engineer and from IT company, so tech. So I feel like I need like a real proof that grounding, what's the effect of grounding? And I felt that I got it finally. And the question I have is more about, because I have some I understand the amusement part and, you know, going with the flow and that aspect, but I also come from a pretty religious culture. And, like where, you know, we are said like we should not follow our desires because you know, we can't have everything we want in the world, you know, like that is like a dream that is not realistic. So I'm stuck in this dichotomy, or rather like a part of me is the spiritual part of me. I just believe that, you know, we are this light, and then we are, you know, we belong, we feel, experience love, and then, you know, we just follow and we observe things that come and go, and then we change and flow according to that. But there's another part of me that wants to protect myself, that says like, okay, I got to like stick to this trusted religious route, or like the people that before me, like for example Buddhists, right? People that before me, they follow this structure, and then, you know, they don't go with like just amusement and then just doing things on a whim and spontaneous. You know, they kind of have a routine, and then they don't expect too much out of life. So sometimes I wonder whether I'm expecting too much out of life and it is a fantasy. So how do you like have a balance about this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so it's really interesting because all the really popular spiritual teachings that are out there all have wonderful core and truth in them, and especially in the time frame that they were created, they really matched what people were needing at that time. And even now, even some of the very old religions and teachings still have a lot of information, a lot of things that we can use to uplift us and to grow and to, you know, feel closer and connected and everything. But there's also, you know, the longer that something is around, the more sort of people stories that get added, right? So you take a really beautiful truth, and then somebody does their best to interpret it and tell somebody else, and then they interpret it and tell the next person, and so on and so on. And, you know, and eventually it's like, okay, how do I separate out the essence of these beautiful teachings from the part that was like well-intended nonsense, right? That's, you know, doesn't match where I'm at and what I need today. And really, that's up to you. You know, all spiritual teachings are, you know, at least I believe, are to be interpreted over and over and over. You know, to sort of, you don't want to get stuck in sort of a position and try to hold it for a long time. Like, especially right now, the energy is moving pretty fast in the planet. So, you know, when I was a kid, maybe 40 years ago, you know, what was really appropriate then probably wouldn't work very well now. You know, things have changed quite a bit energetically. And so it's okay to be in that space of, you know, wanting to honor your religion and traditions, and also saying, I want to make it a little lighter. I want to make it more fun. I want to, you know, I do want to have desires. And it's fun when you go into that space. What you want to do is like hold your new intention and that love that you have for your tradition, and then just ask yourself, okay, so where do these overlap? And usually what you'll find, and you guys can do this right now while I'm talking too, you know, what you usually find is that, oh, there's a way to interpret that teaching that actually describes my intentions, my feelings that I have today. It's just, it may be different than the way my parents interpret it or somebody told me, but it's it actually fits. Because there's it's kind of hard to put into words, but there's really no wrong answers out there. It's our interpretation of all this information that makes it seem like things, you know, like a square peg in a round hole, or something that doesn't quite fit, if that makes sense. So yeah, good question. I don't have, you know, I can't give you this specific answer to make it all clean, but that's kind of the process I would go through to have that dance with, you know, loving the past traditions and then loving where you're at today.
Great, thank you, May. And we got time for one more question. Sukbal, you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey. I'm a very old student of yours. I was in the old duality as well. So I'm also in this one. I'm coming to the end of chakra healing at the moment. My question to you is, Jeffrey, is can you see energy rather than you can feel? I know you can feel energy. We all know you can feel, but can you see energy, so to speak?
Okay, so me personally,
Yes.
yeah, it's interesting. So for the longest time, I didn't believe I could see energy at all. You know, like I've said, when the teacher would say, visualize an apple, I would think, you know, unless it's a black apple in a dark room, I don't think I'm seeing it, right? Because I didn't believe I could see anything. And then over time, I started noticing, oh, I am able to see things, especially if I'm in a healing space. You know, I'll see visions of people's past lives. I'll see the people, and I'll understand all the components. Like this person that's in the past life, it looks like they're probably your brother now, right? And then here's what they're doing, and I'll see it like I'm kind of watching a movie. But what's interesting to me is that I think that that vision for me is probably something that I'm recreating through pictures, right? Rather than seeing the energy directly. Much of the time I'm understanding the information on a higher level, and then I'm presenting myself with a visual presentation of that information. So that's, I would say most of the clairvoyance that I do probably is probably an interpretation of a knowingness that I'm giving myself visually. But there are times that I see energy too, where I'm, you know, not thinking, I'm not reading, and there'll be the, you know, bright light around somebody. And so, you know, both are there, but I would say most of mine is probably this interpretive, you know, clairvoyance. And for most people, I think it probably is too. My wife, Hisami, is kind of the opposite. I would say she's always seeing energy rather than interpreting, just because of her personality. Although she even doesn't describe it as seeing. She says it'd be more accurate to say like, I'm smelling energy, because she says it has a different quality than sight, even though it has a visual element too. It's got some depth, or it's got a different information or knowingness that comes with it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fun question. Yeah, thanks.
I hope we can you can walk us to that stage someday. Thank you very much, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, Jeffrey. As the students go into the next 2 weeks of the quest before the next call, how can they prepare and be most effective with their learning?
Yeah, great. So I would say in the next couple weeks, so as we're moving through the information on chakras and the information on pictures and beliefs, you're going to be getting into more details. So these are the 2 chapters where I'd always had more requests to put in some more detail, tell us more details. So I said, okay, in chapter 5, we'll start adding lots of details about the chakras, more than you need to know, but it should make your mind happy. And when you get that information, just remember that the reason I'm giving it to you now is that I'm trusting that you won't take it too seriously, that you're not going to get stuck on all these details. You're not going to try to make your chakras look exactly like I'm saying, or spin exactly like I'm saying there, that you've been going for enough time with the duality tools that you're learning that there's the concepts and the visualization, and then there's my experience, and that you're favoring your experience over, the mental part. So just keep that in mind for the next couple chapters here as we get into it, into more of the details, to trust yourself and don't worry about the little detailed parts. And have fun. And then I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. What an amazing call. Thank you for leading us. We do have our next call in 2 weeks, the same time. We'll have 2 calls then as well, this time and also 5 hours earlier. But you don't have to wait till then to ask your questions or to gather with your tribe in the community of Duality. We have active ambassadors there. Jeffrey's also active there as well. I just want to make a shout out to some of our ambassadors that joined this call: Verena, Dow, Katrina, Deshini, Needy, Tree, Freeman, and Nolan. So many ambassadors on this call. Guys, if you haven't met our ambassadors yet, they're active in all of our programs. They're there to support you, to connect with, and to help guide you on your journey. We want to thank them so much. So thank you everyone for joining this call, tuning in. giving us the last hour of your time. And thank you so much, Jeffrey, as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
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 Jeffrey,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.